My father died on October 15th, 2011. It's been 4 months. For me to be able to tell you who my father was in the length of this video would be impossible. The skills that he possessed, the knowledge that he held, and the companionship that we had are gone. It's irretrievable and irreplaceable. I'd lived with my father since before my mother died on December 23rd, 2007. One of the hardest things, in my opinion, for anybody to ever experience is the loss of a parent. That is, of course, aside from the loss of a child. People deal with grief and the loss of a loved one in different and unique ways. And this will depend upon their cultural attitudes towards death, their religious beliefs, and the development of their support network. When I say support network, I mean their family, their friends, their church, if they belong to a religious organization, and it can extend to the community that they live in. These are important factors in coping with loss. For me, my family, my sisters and my brother have been invaluable in dealing with the loss of my father, as well as my dad's nieces. Also, my friends have been a godsend. I also belonged to a fraternity when I was in college, and even the young guys that are coming up in the chapter at my university have been really, really helpful. One of the things that you should remember if you're dealing with grief is that you're not alone. There are people that you know who will support you, who will listen to you, who you can lean on. If you're dealing with grief, you should also know that you should not try to keep it inside. You shouldn't try to bottle it up. You shouldn't try to put on the brave face and say, "Oh, I'm okay." You should allow yourself to feel that grief, to experience it, to work through it. It's not a matter of being brave. It's not a matter of being cowardly. It's a matter of dealing with the things that life gives us. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who wrote the book On Death and Dying, detailed 5 stages that people go through when faced with the impending death of a loved one or after having faced that death. The first stage is denial and isolation. It's pretty self-explanatory. Second stage is anger. This stage can also include guilt that a person may feel, which is kind of like anger turned inwards. It often applies to survivor's guilt. The third stage is bargaining, as in bargaining with a higher power like God, if you believe in God. The fourth stage is depression. The fifth and final stage is acceptance. With my mother's death, I had moved towards acceptance. When my father died, I had to start this process all over again. From what I've read, experts say that if the grieving process lasts for a year or longer, then the person who's experiencing the grief should consider talking to a professional. In my opinion, I would say talk to the professional sooner if you think you need it. It helps to gain insight in what you're going through. Grieving is a long, arduous, complicated, and painful process. You don't need to do it alone. There's help out there for you in your community, in your church. Your friends and your family will also stand beside you. If you need to find a grief support group, those are out there too. You can find them through any social service agency or even through your church if you attend a church. It's difficult, it's painful, but you don't need to experience it by yourself. I think that's what my message is, and that's what I wanted to say. If you've watched this and you're going through the grieving process, my heart is with you. I know what you're going through. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And have a good night.